It's the final countdown. Well, almost anyway. The playoff races in the East and especially in the West are really heating up. This is the Basketball Bulletin. I'm Trevor Lane. We're going to take a look today at where things currently stand and how things may shake out in all the playoff races around the NBA. If you haven't done so yet, hit that subscribe button. We're on the cusp of hitting 20,000 subscribers. Push us over the top and hit that subscribe button. So let's start with the Eastern Conference because frankly, it's easy and we can knock it out very, very quickly. The Celtics, the Cavs, they're at the top of the East. They're not going anywhere. They are staying 1-2. Cavs 1, Celtics 2. That's not going to change heading into the postseason. They are the best teams in the Eastern Conference by far, and I don't think anyone is going to prevent a Cavs-Celtics Eastern Conference Finals. That said, there is a race going on. If you look 4, 5, 6 in terms of positioning, I don't think the Knicks, even with Jalen Brunson lost due to injury currently, I don't think they drop down to 4 here. It's not impossible because the Bucks and Knicks do play each other once more, though the Knicks do have the tiebreaker over in Milwaukee, so that complicates things a little bit. So not impossible for the Knicks to fall to the 4 seed, but I'd be surprised if it does. The real question is, can the Pacers and the Pistons win enough to push the Bucks down to the 6 seed and create a Knicks and Bucks round 1 matchup, and then the Pacers and the Pistons would get to play each other? I think that would be advantageous for both the Pacers and the Pistons. Otherwise, I think most likely what happens is the Knicks, if it stays chalk, the Knicks take on the Pistons, the Bucks take on the Pacers, and the Knicks and Bucks move on to round 2 to get destroyed by the Cavs and the Celtics. That's the way I see this playing out. The 7 through 10 pillow fight in the Eastern Conference, what a disaster. All below 500 teams. These teams, let's face it, these teams are competing. The Hawks, the Magic, their inept offense, the Miami Heat, the Bulls. These teams are competing to see who gets swept by the Cavs and the Celtics in round 1. Chicago, I guess, is the team that raised their hand and said, fine, I guess we'll be the 10 seed in the Eastern Conference, because none of those teams at the bottom of the East really wanted to be there. A lot of them just tanking and doing what they can to increase their lottery odds. Keep an eye on the Philadelphia 76ers. Of course, their pick is top 6 protected, so they need to lose as many games as they possibly can in this disaster of a season and hope that they can hang on to their draft pick. All right, before we get to the West, let me give a shout out to our sponsor, and that is Prize Picks. Prize Picks Daily Fantasy Sports. They do a fantastic job. You can use our promo code Bulletin and get a guaranteed $50 on your first $5 played. Use the link in the description down below. Let's make a few picks here. I always love the little goblin guys, just easier plays to get. 24.5 points for Luka, no LeBron, and no basically everyone else except for Austin Reeves should play tonight for the Lakers. So I think Luka is a safe bet to have to score a lot of points against the Brooklyn Nets. So we'll take that one there. Let's see, where else can we go? Franz Wagner going up against the Rockets. That one might be kind of tough. I always love Alperen Sengun, so I'll go with him. 15.5 points there. Cole Anthony is going to have to do stuff for the Magic. They don't have a lot of guys going on the offensive end, so I will take Cole Anthony as well. We'll go there. A $10 entry on this one would win $25. Check it out right now over at Prize Picks. Again, use the link in the description down below and use that promo code Bulletin for a guaranteed $50 on your first $5 played. All right, let's look at the West. The Western Conference. Oh boy, this is where things are heating up. So the Thunder, they're set. They're the 1 seed. They're not moving anywhere. That's locked, right? So they're the 1 seed. But then after that, look at the race 2 through 5. Look how close it is. Just 2 games separating the Lakers from the Rockets. Now, the loss column is where you really want to pay attention, because that's where you really want to focus in when we've got winning above 500 teams. So the Lakers technically 3 games up in the loss column on the Rockets, but there is plenty of mobility here 2 through 5 in all of these matchups. Now, looking at strength of schedule, the Lakers, the Denver Nuggets have 2 of the most difficult remaining schedules in the NBA. So there is the potential there for them to drop, especially with the Lakers now just getting crushed by a tidal wave of injuries. LeBron James, Rui Hachimura, Jackson Hayes, Dorian Finney-Smith, 3 starters down, plus several key reserves down. It's going to be tough for the Lakers in a very, very difficult March schedule for them. Denver has a difficult schedule as well, and they're playing second night of a back-to-back against OKC, 2 games against OKC tonight. So it wouldn't be impossible for Memphis, for Houston to potentially leapfrog both the Lakers and the Nuggets. I do think the Lakers fall here. They are just so injured. I'd have to imagine they do drop a little bit in the standings. Maybe the Nuggets move up to 2. But the real question for all of this here is, who do you want to face in the West? And can any of these teams kind of maneuver their way into the ideal matchups? Right now, the Golden State Warriors are sitting at the 6th seed, and they are knotted in terms of how many games back they are with the Minnesota Timberwolves, 1 game up in the loss column. The Warriors have a pretty light schedule from here on out, but the Wolves, they have one of the easiest schedules remaining in the NBA. So there is potential upward mobility there, but the gap separating the Warriors and the Rockets, I guess if the Warriors keep winning at a 9-1 rate, they've won 9 out of their last 10. If that continues, they could catch up to Houston, but the clock is ticking. We're running out of time for them to make that kind of run if the Rockets can pick up wins at a slightly higher rate than what they're doing right now. But it wouldn't be impossible for Golden State to get up there into the mix as well. I think the bottom line is in the West, no matter what, you're going to be playing some difficult teams in every single round. That's just the way that it's going to go. The Clippers, certainly not out of things. They've won 3 in a row. They could make a case to move up to the 6th seed. So right now you've got a race between Golden State, Minnesota, the Clippers, the Kings starting to fall back here. So essentially it's a 3-team race for the 6th seed and to stay out of the play-in. That's what teams want to try to do. They want to stay out of that play-in spot. So it's a 3-team race there, but the Warriors are trying to get themselves into the next race up. They're trying to leave the 6th seed race behind and actually get into the race for the 2 through 5 slots. And we'll see if they can get there. Again, right now you could say, well, this matchup would be preferable or that matchup would be preferable, but it's all so close in the Western Conference that it's going to be very difficult for teams to try to maneuver their way into one spot or another. The 7th seed in the West would ultimately, coming through the play-in tournament, ultimately wind up, maybe it's Denver, maybe it's the Lakers, maybe it's the Grizz, maybe it's the Rockets. It could be any of these teams, but that would be not a great consolation for being the 7th seed. I think all those teams have kind of separated themselves a bit from the play-in squad, but the 8th seed is really the spot that you don't want to wind up in, because that will lead to what I would predict would be a first-round sweep at the hands of the Oklahoma City Thunder, similar to the way we see it in the Eastern Conference. The Dallas Mavericks right now, they are, oh my gosh, I said the Lakers are injured. The Mavericks are insanely injured right now. And the question is, can they hang on to the 10 seed? The Phoenix Suns might fall backwards into a play-in spot in the West. They're only 1 game back in the loss column, and Dallas has basically lost everybody on their team. Everybody's out. Kyrie Irving, Anthony Davis, Derek Lively, all of these guys are out. It is going to be very, very difficult for the Mavs, I think, to hang on to this spot. The Suns have not been playing good basketball. They're 4-6 in their last 10, but Dallas has been so crushed by injuries that it would not shock me if the Phoenix Suns do wind up jumping up and moving ahead of the Dallas Mavericks. It's been a disaster of a season in Phoenix, but injuries to teams ahead of them, specifically the Mavs, might cause them to make the play-in all the same. The Portland Trailblazers could make a bit of a push at it, but they've lost the last 3 in a row, and I think that effectively takes them out of the running if we're being real here. I think they've played better basketball than the Suns have over the last month or so, but it's been a tough season for them. Again, I think they will happily take a nice high draft pick and move forward from there. Let's take a quick peek at the remaining strength of schedule, just see what stands out here. So Phoenix has the most difficult remaining strength of schedule. Again, that will not help them move up, but I just really question, with so many injuries to the Mavs, how many wins are they actually going to pick up, even though they have a much easier schedule than Phoenix does? I don't look, Dallas, they've got a shot because they have a very easy schedule from here on out. But with this many injuries, it's hard to predict where they're going to get wins. And I think they may be better suited to just let Anthony Davis heal up, don't bring him back, and go from there. So Phoenix right now is the most difficult strength of schedule, but I think they may still trip and stumble, fall into the end zone, and wind up in the 10 seed in the play-in. Sacramento, difficult strength of schedule. I don't have them moving up out of that play-in mix. I think they probably wind up staying right where they're at, and that's the 9 seed. Utah, hey, they will welcome a difficult schedule from here on out. They're wanting as many losses as they can get. The Lakers sitting with the 4th, and the Denver Nuggets sitting with the 5th most difficult strength of schedule. Those teams, not a lot of separation there, but once again, so many injuries to the Lakers. that makes any game, even some of the easier games like tonight against the Nets, more of a question mark of what the Lakers are going to do there. The Grizz right now would like to make a surge up in the West, but again, a very difficult schedule remaining for them as well. And the Clippers may have a tough time trying to leapfrog the Warriors with such a difficult remaining schedule compared to what Golden State has. Now, you do look at some of the East teams. By the way, it's not a coincidence that this is mostly West teams with the most difficult strength of schedule remaining, because they have to play each other. And there's just more bad teams in the East, and that's the way that it goes. Detroit right now clinging to the 6th seed maybe makes it a little more difficult for them to move up, since they've got the 13th most difficult schedule remaining compared to their competitors like Indiana having the 20th most difficult strength of schedule. New York sitting there in the middle with 17. But then you look up there they are, Minnesota. Easy schedule from here on out. Do have 2 games against the Denver Nuggets, though, and those could certainly matter. But Minnesota, very easy schedule remaining for them. Should be a lot of opportunities for them to stack up wins. The Mavs, I don't trust the Mavs to win any game at this point, regardless of who their opponent is, just because they are so insanely injured. And there's the Golden State Warriors with some difficult games left, to be sure, but also a number of gimmies on the 2 games against the Blazers, 2 games against the Wemby-less Spurs. Remember, a lot of it in the NBA schedule, it's not just who you play, it's when you play them. If you played most of your games against the Spurs early on in the season, you played against Wemby. If you get to play them late, you're playing against a Spurs team that is clearly calling it a season and they don't have Wemby anymore. Much easier to get a win against a Wemby-less Spurs team, and that's just simply luck of the draw. That's just the way that it goes. When you face teams matters as well. Oklahoma City, 14th, but it doesn't really matter. They are locked in to that 1 seed in the Western Conference. It's going to be, I think, a really great finish in the West. I think it just like last year, all of these games are going to matter in the Western Conference, and I think it's going to be a very tight race all the way through. Matchup-wise, almost impossible to predict right now, simply because there's so much mobility between the 2 through 5. Maybe the Warriors can even get up into that mix. And then the 7, 8, 9, 10, all very much up for grabs. Though it does seem like right now it's more of a question of the 10 and 11, the Suns versus the Mavs. The Kings probably stay slotted in that 9 seed. And then it's what happens 6, 7, and 8 between the Warriors, the Wolves, and the Clippers, who can ultimately claim that 6 seed. With the Warriors, I think the team with realistic aspirations of moving up to 5. The Wolves, they could get there again just because they have such a light schedule from here on out, but they do have one more game in the loss column than the Warriors do. So that's certainly noteworthy there. All right, everybody. I do think we're going to get some interesting first-round matchups. I think we're going to get some snooze first-round matchups as well. The Thunder against whoever they get in the first round. The Cavs and Celtics against whoever they get in the first round. Those are all going to be sweeps. I'd be shocked if the 7 or 8 seed wins any of those games. But there'll be some really good ones too. Like we could get Lakers Nuggets round 1. We could get Nuggets Grizzlies. That would be great. Grizzlies Rockets would be a fun. Warriors Grizzlies would be great. There's going to be some really fun matchups, I think, in the West, and then we'll get some competitive ones as well in the East when we get to, I don't know, let's say it's the Bucks and the Pacers and the Knicks and the Pistons. Those could be some really fun matchups as well. And then, of course, once we get to the conference semifinals, we're really going to whittle it down and have some really fun basketball series. But everybody in the comment section, let me know what you think. How do you want this all to play out, and where do you want your favorite team to actually land? This is where we start looking. Sometimes it's better to actually drop a little bit in the standings and get a preferred matchup rather than just finishing as high as possible. So let me know in the comment section, where do you want your favorite team to land? Don't forget to subscribe right here to the channel. Until next time, see ya and stay safe.